All right, welcome back to another video of my marketing knowledge, I guess. Still on part one, core beliefs, and this is section two, philosophy and human nature. Sure, that's what it's called. What the question I'm answering is what the core principle of marketing that never changes. Um, that's, I guess I wouldn't say it's tricky. I guess it just depends what aspect of marketing you're looking at. Probably to sum it up, I would say that the marketing methods are universal, meaning most people will think that if you do marketing in one market, you can't do it in another. Or more likely, what I see happen the most is people in a particular market, will say plumbers, for example, will only advertise and do their marketing the way they see other plumbers doing their marketing. They don't believe that they could look at, say, a donut shop or an e-commerce store and see how they're marketing and figure out how to apply what they're doing to their business. That is probably the biggest mistake that I see happen the most. This causes most business owners to look at what they're doing and say, if only I can do as good as them, meaning like a direct competitor or a competitor in the same niche, as opposed to looking at people outside of their direct niche and figuring out how can I be as successful as that person over there. Um, the reality of it is that a lot of what is taught in marketing can be applied to literally any business. And most of the time, the resistance comes from people thinking that marketing must be done a certain way for this type of business. And that's just wrong. By realizing that all marketing methods work, what I like to say is all marketing methods work in all industries. It's just a matter of figuring out which one at this point in time works for your business. That means a couple of things. One, that any marketing method or technique that you're currently using may no longer work after a little while. And also, two, you can explore other means of marketing and find out that they work just as effectively as what you have. Um, this also means you're never going to end up in a space where you can do just one thing and never have to worry about marketing again. This is also a huge mistake I see people make is they will run and maybe they run an offer or a particular marketing strategy and it works really well, and then over time it loses its efficiency and then they don't know what to do. They just want to keep doing the same thing and they don't realize that it doesn't work anymore. By that same token, there are people who will run a marketing strategy, we'll say for like a Black Friday event. So they'll run a Black Friday special, they'll do really well, and then they'll never run a similar promotion like that ever again until the next year. And even then, they'll reinvent the wheel instead of just using what's worked before. So there's a lot of these, I wouldn't even call them nuances. There's a lot of these ways of marketing that you just need to do. And if you're not doing them, a lot of times that's why your business is struggling. In this day and age, currently, email marketing is still incredibly effective. And you know what's actually more effective is direct mail, sending things through the physical mail. Most people don't even do that anymore. They don't even consider it, or they think it's too expensive. And a lot of times it's way less expensive comparatively. If you figure spending several $1,000s a month to get in front of people versus maybe 1,000, maybe a couple hundred, depending on the size of your audience, to get in front of people through a direct mail piece. And those work exceptionally well. But because most people are stuck on the bandwagon or none of my competitors do that, they tend to brush it off. Another prime example of this is I'm working with somebody and they were telling me that they were using an agency before. And the agency still had access to the account when I went in and started creating ads. And the agency tried to warn my client by saying, hey, just, be careful with this guy because what he's doing is unorthodox. It's not normal. Where they already knew that what I did produced results, so they were fine with it. They were trying to get this marketing agency to do what I had taught them to do, and they just weren't following through. And this is very normal. You can have something very successful, and people just won't do it. They're like, that's not the way we do things. And to me, it's like, okay, so the way you do things is by not making money, that's the way you do things. I mean, it shows, because if you look at your bank account and you're not making money, then yeah, I would agree with you. The way I would tell you to do things is not the way you do them. The way you do them is not making you any money. So it's this understanding that I have, that I'm trying to convey, is that the core principle of marketing that never changes is that it all works. You just have to figure out which one works for you. And in doing so, you'll realize that, hopefully you'll realize, you're pigeonholing yourself by looking at only marketing tactics that other people in your same industry do. And there's a lot to be gained by looking at what other businesses, other industries are doing to attract customers, and seeing if you can replicate that, right? There's nothing saying you can't. I'm sure there's some examples I could think of up the top of my head, would be if you just look at the older days of where did the drive up come through, the drive through. So we have drive through food, drive through pharmacy, drive through banking, and they all learn from each other, right? So the first, let's see, the first drive through, you'll have to forgive me, I wasn't thinking about this till I started thinking about it, but they all took from each other. So it's like, I forget which one came first, but it was like drive through, I think drive through food was probably the first one, and then banking did it, and then pharmacy did it. And I could have those backwards, but they all didn't start at the same time, but they learned from each other, and they grew from each other. So there's a lot there. I know of a like a car mechanic that adopted the whole doctor's office, also like elite clientele aspect. So normally you go into your mechanics and they have like a grungy used bench where you have to sit, and the seat's old and wobbly, and you sit there while they work on your car. Well, one particular location built out like a seating room that had magazines, fresh drinks, food. It was a pleasant environment. It was quiet. They put in soundproofing, and they were one of the first ones to do it, and they were wildly successful. People wanted to go there to get work done on their car because it wasn't an inconvenience on top of the cost of dealing with your car. And this, they took that idea from looking at not other mechanics, right? If people just looked in their own lane, they would never see these sort of things. So I encourage you to do that. Look outside of your business and realize that all marketing works. And you just have to figure out what's working right now for your business, not necessarily your niche, but your business. And if you ever feel like you're getting a roadblock, don't always look at the competitors who are in the same space as you. Instead, look at people who are doing well in business. See what they're doing and ask yourself if you can replicate some of what they're doing with your business. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.